Hey folks, welcome into another Wednesday stream. Trying to do these every Wednesday at noon Central. This week I'm back with a questionable quotes. It's been about a month since the last one, but I've been wanting to get those going again, and so we're going to take a look at that here in a minute. If you're following us here on Facebook, or if you're not following us, be sure to do so. Click like on the page. I'm also always uploading these to the podcast feed, the Church Reset podcast, and the Focus Press YouTube channel. So whichever way you like to consume your content best, I prefer the podcast feed because it delivers right to your phone, but of course you can do the same on YouTube. Follow Focus Press and turn your notifications on. Get the latest videos, the Think Deeper podcasts, Godly Young Men, things like that come out on the Focus Press YouTube channel. So keep an eye on us there. As always, there's the email list at focuspress.org is the best way to keep up with everything we're doing. But yeah, we're all over the place. Video, audio, articles, books, all kinds of stuff trying to help strengthen your faith. So let's talk about the questionable quote of the week. And actually, it's going to be a few of them. I've got a headline one that I want to look at, but a few of them, they're things you overhear at funerals, and they're often intended to give comfort. They're often intended to kind of bring God's hand in everything into the picture, but I think, number one, they don't give the comfort that they intend to. Number two, they're incorrect. And number three, I think correct theological views on these things actually give more comfort, as you would assume, as makes sense with God's way of doing things. So why I say that is, let's talk about the first one. It's heaven gained another angel. Sometimes you'll see that even printed on the little handouts from funeral homes. There's a little poem about God, you're getting your wings and things like that. Where in the Bible does it say we turn into angels? I know, like, we kind of have this concept of heaven, of the clouds, and you go through these golden gates and you float, and everybody's playing a harp and things like that, and these goofy TV depictions of what heaven is, but none of that really comes from the scriptures. I mean, when you dig into angels, there's all kinds of different representations of them. Sometimes it is the bright, shining clothes. The wings is not really part of it. Of course, there's the cherubim and the seraphs and things like that, seraphim, I guess I should say, that bring that element into it. But as far as the messenger angels, so many times it's not the wings and halo thing that we like to depict. But the other thing about it is, angels and humans are separate. I think that's a really important distinction. And so when we're telling somebody, oh, well, God gained another angel, no, it's actually better than that. The scriptures tell us that. In fact, I wanted to look at a couple. Psalm 8, verses 5 and 6. David says, "Yet you have made him a little lower than God. You crown him with glory and majesty. You make him to rule over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet." But if we take a look at that, actually, made a little lower than God, that takes us to Hebrews, where you have kind of that same idea of us being above the angels. Let's see. Back that up. Hebrews 2, verse 5, he says, "For he did not subject to angels the world to come, concerning which we are speaking. But one has testified somewhere, saying, What is man that you remember him, or the son of man that you are concerned about him? You have made him for a little while lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor. You have appointed him over the works of your hands. You have put all things under subjection under his feet." And so a little bit of a different phrasing there that's brought forth into Hebrews. Of course, both of them inspired scriptures. But the point being, we are, while on this earth, we're below, almost in a geographical sense, there in heaven and we're here. But for a little while we're lower than the angels. But that's not always going to be the case. And Jesus came to be lower than the angels. Now he's with glory and honor above the angels. That the Hebrew writer is kind of making that application of it. But we as humans, the same thing. It's a little while we're lower than the angels. But we don't turn into angels. We kind of rise above them in the pecking order. And this is brought out in 1 Corinthians 6, where Paul says, "Do you not know that we will judge angels?" That's interesting that we will judge angels. Angels are ministering spirits, we're told. That they are these servants, but they were created. They don't have the same ability to be glorified in the same way we do. They don't have the ability to become like Christ in the same way we do. And so it's an exciting thing. I think the comfort is you're near God, you're one of those incredibly bright, dazzling beings, but no, it's a fuller version of yourself. Your spirit goes to heaven, and you're eventually going to be embodied in resurrection in a glorified sense, way better than anything the angels get. And so that's one of the three I wanted to talk about. The second one, you'll see this as well, said at funerals, well, God must have needed them. No, God has no need at all. Three persons in one, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, there's no need there. He didn't create us because he needs us. He doesn't need us to get things done. You kind of think of in Esther of where Mordecai tells her, look, you can do this. Maybe God brought you to this for such a time as this, but if not you, then somebody else. God's purpose is going to go on with or without you. The same is true for the things going on outside of this world, in the spiritual realm. God doesn't need any of us. And the thing about that is when you tell somebody that for comfort, it's almost like God killed the person. God took the person. Well, yeah, I know there's taking him home and things like that, but God just decided, all right, that's enough in this world. You're going to come on to the next world because I need you for something there. That's not really how it works. And then there's closely related to that, everything happens for a reason. In a sense, yeah, but that idea of that being comfort of, well, God made this happen. Well, Romans 8:28 talks about God making all things work together for good. That doesn't mean he makes them all happen, especially in particularly tragic circumstances. Obviously, it's something to grieve anytime somebody passes, but when a child passes, when there's a sudden, unexpected death, a car accident, or a crime, I mean, things like that are very just unexpected ways that somebody passes to say, well, everything happens for a reason. God must have needed them, things like that. There's not comfort in that. Sometimes the reason is evil. Sometimes the reason is we live in a fallen world that does have cancer and other diseases and sicknesses and car accidents and natural disasters and things like that. The reason is because of sin. We live in a fallen world. But the beauty of it is we're going to a better world. We're looking forward to a day where all of that is put to an end, where all things are made new, all the promises we have of Scripture. And so it's thinking on a higher level that gets us kind of out of this, well, God must have basically put this person to death to cause... I don't think that's the comfort that often is intended. And so the things we say around a funeral, the things we say around death, to give people comfort... Again, the intention is good, but accuracy helps. True theology, getting these things right of, no, we're not going to be angels. We're above that. You get to go and be with the Lord, as Paul talks about in Philippians, that, when you leave here, you get to go be with him, and you're not going up there to be sent on missions all over the world like we see angels in Job and elsewhere in the Bible. No, you get to be with him. You get to sit at his table. You're going to live with him for all of eternity. There's a real beauty to that. There's a real power to that. And the same of not all things are caused by God, but God makes good come from all things, and he is making all things new, resolving all of the bad things that man does and the results of the fall and things like that. That's the hope that we have. And so we need to be careful with these things. And that's one of the main reasons for these questionable quotes videos, is to get at the importance of getting the small things right. That theological quibbles here and there might seem like nitpicking. They matter. They matter about the hope we have. They matter about what we view our purpose here on earth to be. And so that's this week's questionable quotes. For about 2 months now, I have been promising Thursdays through the text. I think I'm going to try and get that started tomorrow, November 14th. That will go up. I don't think I'll be doing that live here on Facebook, but they will be on the Focus Press YouTube channel, or catch the audio on the Church Reset podcast feed. Just short 10 to 15 minute looks at the book of Mark. We're going to go just through the text consecutively and work through that one to start with. So keep an eye on that. We've got so much going on here at Focus Press. Think Deeper podcast this week had Dr. Brad Harrab on to talk about parenting. I learned a lot from it. Nobody wants to hear parenting advice from somebody whose oldest kid is 6, and so that's why we brought him in. He and his wife Melinda just wrote a book on parenting, and so really good information. I hope you'll check that out. Articles going up at jackwilkie.co. Jackwilkie.com actually now gets you there too, so if you type it in wrong, I'm pretty proud of owning both URLs. And so check that out. Tomorrow I've got an article coming on Christians and misinformation and conspiracy theories and things like that, and how that has really been blown out of proportion in recent years. And so I'm going to be talking about that on an article coming up. I just announced a book on my site the other day. So again, the content is just nonstop here at Focus Press. Check all of that out. Be tuned in to here on Facebook or the YouTube channel, wherever you get your stuff, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.